Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's STORMYBMAN, and I am back. Welcoming you to Nerds on Culture with STORMYBMAN. Avengers Doomsday update for this Friday. No, this is Thursday. Forgive me. January 1st, 2026. This is the first Nerds show update that I'm doing. And I guess it's only fitting that everything is kind of all screwed up. I had the idea to simulcast this over on my Rumble channel as well as my Temple of Culture and Entertainment channel, but some kind of way when I went to go live, everything got crossed up. So it is what it is, man. It's like, my goodness, I started off the year still screwing up, but at least this is live. So I'm here to talk about the Avengers film that is seeing multiple trailers being released, which are basically little sketches that are like less than a minute. We were told when this film was completing principal photography that the Russo brothers had over approximately 30 trailers that they were piecing together to tell this story's presentation to get audiences prepared for the movie, which will release next December 26th. December 2026, excuse me. I'm all over the place, man. But salute to everybody. I hope that you're having a pleasant new year. Things are starting off kind of bumpy for me here, even with this presentation here. I'm like, man, can I ever get this correct? Can I ever get it where it's just going to be smooth? I don't know. I'm doing my best, people. I'm doing my best. So, over the past couple of weeks, there have been 3 trailers released for this film. And the way that it's been set up is that Marvel has placed the trailers ahead of the Avatar film and a couple of other films here and there where you'll be surprised when you're sitting in the theater and then the trailer just happens to show. But like I said, it's under a minute, each and every one of them. The first one was a presentation that showed Steve Rogers. It opens with him on his motorcycle and arriving to his home, which we last saw at the end of Endgame when he was returning the stones and elected to stay back in time with Peggy Carter. And what this particular trailer shows is that not only has Steve remained back in that time of the 50s with Peggy, but he pulls out his Captain America suit that he wore in Endgame, and he's looking at it and he puts it away. Then there's a shot of him holding a baby in his arms, and we're being led to believe that that's his son that he's had back in time with Peggy. Then it cuts to saying Steve Rogers will return in Avengers Doomsday. The next trailer is showing Thor in a forest kneeling in prayer. And as he's kneeling in prayer, he's speaking out loud, and he appears to be talking to Allfather Odin. And he's asking him to give him the wherewithal to go through whatever venture he's embarking upon, and that he's able to return to Love, his daughter, whom we met at the end of Thor: Love and Thunder. It's not his actual daughter, Love, but he had made a promise to raise her when we saw the end of the life of Gore the God Butcher. Now, this situation that presents Thor is interesting because Thor is back to having his short haircut again. He still has Stormbreaker, the axe hammer, and his prayer to the Allfather is interesting because within words that he speaks, he's talking about what he has faced in the past. So it's taken us through something of reference that has transpired with him prior, even though it's a present moment. And it says that Thor will return in Avengers Doomsday. The most recent trailer depicts Charles Xavier and Magneto playing chess and speaking through a voiceover that talks about life's end and closing your eyes and what happens. Then there's also a shot of the X-Men mansion where there's destruction. You know, it's interesting. In all of the X-Men films, when they showed the Xavier's mansion, it always suffers some kind of damage or ruin or destruction. And once again, in this trailer, they're showing the X-Men mansion being destroyed again, and you can see the plaque, the sign that hung outside the gates of his mansion laying in ruins on the ground. There's a shot of Cyclops taking his lenses off and a blast coming from his eyes. All of this is like with a certain type of a theme that's giving you the impression that it's a manly thing going on. There's some type of a paternal thing going on. And from what I understand, there's going to be more of these trailers. And they seem to be releasing by the week. If you think about it, the Super Bowl, which will happen, I think, in February, they're going to show a major trailer at the Super Bowl. But December 2026 is still 12 months away. And seeing that they made about 30 of these trailers, we'll probably get more throughout the year, to be perfectly honest. And each and every one, this different form of advertising for this film coming, I guess it's going to have a certain aspect of theme to it where it's presenting something to you. And I believe the whole idea is to not only usher in the Fox studio productions where those characters have now merged into the MCU. Sony's characters of Spider-Man have emerged into the MCU, along with Wolverine, who's also a part of the X-Men, but he also had his own independent films, and Deadpool. So at the end of the day, I believe that what they're trying to do is erase what transpired in Phase 4. If that does be the case, the ending of Endgame is more important than we may realize. And I think the catalyst of the stories to be told going forward will be Captain America, who had the responsibility of returning the Infinity Stones to their proper destinations at the end of Endgame. And Steve created a new time branch when he elected to stay back in time with Peggy and not return. Now, we did see a Steve Rogers return at the end of Endgame, but he was an elderly man who turned the shield over to Sam Wilson. That's interesting because is that the Steve from back when Peggy was around? Or was that the Steve who lived a long life but never returned as Captain America? It's going to be interesting. We'll have to see the movie to get the answers to this. But it's very interesting because there was a time in the comics where Steve Rogers was not Captain America, but he became a new hero that was known as Nomad. Nomad had a different costume, and he didn't carry the shield. I'd like to know the Steve that returned at the end of Endgame, the elderly Steve, and he gave Sam the shield. Who and where is he from? What timeline? Because the Steve that faced Thanos at the end of Endgame, his shield was destroyed by Thanos' blade, remember? All of this is very interesting, man. It's like, you know, but leave it to the Russo brothers who are going to tie these story ends up to mean something and to merge into a cohesive story. It's going to be very interesting what happens there. I'm going to take a quick moment out to acknowledge who we got in the building. Some of you guys have been out there. We got my brother Drew Titan from all three channels there. Painful Excellence in Bear Cave. Columbia's out there. Adrian Viet. And Freedom's March. What's happening with you? It was good to join your show today. Thank you for having me up there. Jonathan Simon is in the building, and Isaiah GQ. Salute to all of you guys. Happy New Year, and glad to see you out there. PGH Big Dog in the building. Yeah, so there's a lot of questions to be answered, and I don't have the answers necessarily, but I'm very interested in seeing how this is being handled and treated, because again, Steve is the catalyst here. And I remember thinking when I saw Endgame initially, I was wondering what was going to happen when he went back to Vormir to return the stone where the Red Skull was there. You know, it's like, oh, you're gonna run across the Red Skull, and we hadn't seen him since they were battling at the end of Captain America, the First Avenger. It's just amazing that, to think about what could transpire with this storytelling. Who knows, man? Who knows? Isaiah GQ says he wonders is Venom gonna be in it. Listen, man. You just can't help yourself from jumping off track. If Venom was to have anything to do with anything, Isaiah GQ and chat, it will be in the Secret Wars film, where Peter would return because of that storyline. This film, I said, looks like it's going to have a lot to deal with father issues, paternal issues, and we're seeing something specifically play out. I believe that Doom, now that he has Franklin Richards, he kidnapped him at the end of Fantastic Four, the first steps. Is going to be using Franklin to assist him with things that he wants to do as far as either stopping these, what do you call it? The word escapes me now, where the different universes collapse on each other. What do you guys call that? Drew, you out there. What's that called? It's what Clea came to meet Doctor Strange at the end of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, when she said that I need you to help me stop what you started. And Strange did some stuff too. Both he and Steve are catalysts over what's happening to the multiverse. Incursions, there you go. Thank you, Fire Beast. Appreciate that. Incursions. I don't know why, you know, my mind is kind of off right now because I'm upset that when I tried to set my live up, everything didn't go well. I'm only broadcasting on one channel, and probably that's all I need to broadcast on because everything else is starting to screw up for me. But that's what secretly got me distracted, because I'm kind of upset about that. These incursions caused by Strange and by Steve. Yeah, I'm aware of that too, Jamal Davis. Just bear with me, brother. I can't do anything about it. I can't do anything about it. Yeah. Yeah, so with everything that has gone on, Steve Strange and Steve Rogers are probably the reasons why Doom wants to come back and destroy the rest of these realities. Maybe it's because he lost his own family in his universe. If you guys remember in Multiverse of Madness, when the Illuminati had their panel, there was one seat that wasn't filled. And you had guys there from Professor X, you had Reed Richards, you had Captain Marvel. But there was someone missing. A lot of people thought it was Iron Man, Tony Stark, that was missing from that universe. But what if it was Victor Doom? What if he sat on that board of Illuminati? Remember that those robots bringing Doom in, they may not have been Tony Stark's Iron Legion. They may have been Doom bots. It's very interesting how these guys are going to pick up the seeds and sew them together to make a cohesive story going forward with the elimination of what transpired in Phase 4. These guys are very good, the Russo brothers. I'm not so certain that it'll be the best Marvel film. This film is like a wrench. It's a tool. And it's a tool toward correction. Because they had all of this DEI going on in Phase 4 and portions of Phase 5. They're trying to do some corrective things now, which is why you can hear certain people like this woman that has this channel, Beyond the Trailer. she's been talking about the lack of inclusion of the women in this storytelling. Well, that's kind of part of the problem when we had to deal with the DEI, because Marvel went too far in that direction and put the women out front, and the men who had established the universe got pushed to the side, even stepped on. And guess what? Even with them trying to feed you that aspect of storytelling and including switching up sexes and ethnicities of certain characters, those people weren't going to the movies buying the tickets. It's like the WNBA. They want equal pay to the guys and all of this, and though they do play very good basketball, where are all the women supporting the WNBA? They're too busy at the NBA games trying to catch an NBA player. Huh? You can't make this stuff up, man. Joe Gagliardi, what's going on? Man, it's like they spend a lot of time trying to appease everyone. But who do you think was buying damn comics for the past 60 years? It wasn't the people of DEI. It wasn't. Yeah, so they're going to get back to telling some great stories. The decision to not recast T'Challa also has bitten them in the behind too, because he was an integral portion of the MCU. And though it's very unfortunate what happened with the loss of Chad Boseman, listen, they should have recast that character. The fact that they use ingenuity to take that celestial being that was petrified in the Eternals film in the ocean, and then said that adamantium will come from that celestial being, and it's a element and resource from mining on his corpse. That's kind of ingenuity that originally takes Marvel to a place when they were being very successful. Because if you remember in the first Guardians film, when they went to nowhere, it was a severed head of a celestial. You guys remember? And then they had people there, they were mining the resources off of that severed head. So that kind of links up. It makes sense. Jamal Davis. Why make Michael B. Jordan the Black Panther? Why? His character had, he played a prominent character in the film, right? Why make him the Black Panther? I would like you to explain your logic in that. Is that because Michael B. Jordan is a decent black actor? You don't think that there are other black actors that could play T'Challa? I'm just waiting for an answer. Because from what I understand, that kid from Snowfall, Damson Idris, is going to be the new Black Panther. And he's a pretty damn good actor. I watched Snowfall and I was like very impressed. And I also watched him in the F1 film with Brad Pitt, where he more than held his own in that film. So Jamal Davis, you done went silent now. You were writing your ass off a moment ago, and now you don't want to say nothing. I keep telling you, when are you young men gonna grow up, man? It's 2026. Today. And it's the same shit as yesterday. Anyway, back to what I was saying. The fact that they've worked to try to erase what transpired in Phase 4. The She-Hulk and all of that stuff is being swept to the side. There's so much source material that they have to build upon cinematically. And now that they have a number of the characters that they didn't have from the beginning of the MCU, that they're being able to kind of blend in there will be stories going forward that they can really focus in on. But Steve Rogers and Stephen Strange have story arcs that they need to draw this out, because you want to know why these men caused the incursions and what the result of the decisions that they made, what that did. And where did Steve Rogers get that shield? His shield was sliced in half when he was fighting Thanos in Endgame. When he went back in time, he took Mjolnir with him to put it back in that era from Thor: The Dark World. Also, when he went back to Vormir, where the Red Skull was, bringing the stone back doesn't give you the life of the person back. And we know that Black Widow sacrificed her life. That alone could have caused another incursion. Too bad my brother Drew Titan couldn't have been a part of this for me, because it's a heck of a discussion to have with everything that transpired. Now trying to cover those steps up. And remember, when Tony Stark went back to the early 70s and he ran into his father Howard Stark, that created an incursion, because he wasn't supposed to, just like the rest of the guys, when they went into their various time places, they were not supposed to interact with people from that time period. Remember when Steve saw Peggy in that office and he was looking through the blinds at her, but he didn't say nothing to her. He just let her go about her business. Well, when Tony went back, he ran into his father, and then the father told him the wife was expecting, and he had flowers and everything. And Tony had that look on his face like, I remember when I first saw the movie, I thought when he said that my wife is having a child, I thought Tony was looking like, wow, man, this is crazy. But I never thought that it could possibly be the wrong date. And that's what it ended up being, is that Tony was born, and they told you in the first Iron Man film when he was born. But when they went back to the 70s, Tony was supposed to be born already. So get this. In Endgame, when he snapped the Infinity Gauntlet to send Thanos away, and it killed him, burned half his body and everything because of the gamma power, right? What if when he did that, along with going back into the 70s to meet his so-called dad, that created an incursion, and that Tony that we knew all of this time was never Tony Stark, but Victor Doom. and that he was adopted in the MCU. He that remains could have done a switch out, switched Tony for Doom, and that the Stark family adopted him because in Doom's universe, he gets severely burned or something like that. His body gets disfigured. But I believe it's according to what happens to his family. Now, the wounds that he has, don't be surprised if they're similar to Tony's wounds when Tony snapped. Which is why he's going to look like Tony. Because he's not a variant of Tony Stark. Our Tony Stark was a variant of Victor Doom. And if Damson Idris is playing T'Challa from another universe where the incursions happen to his Wakanda, he ends up coming into the MCU's universe, and they recognize him as T'Challa, but he's not the same T'Challa. There are going to be Marvel characters who will perish because Doom is out there using Franklin's powers to find what they call the main characters from a universe. Like in certain universes, all characters don't exist. Like in the Fantastic Four's universe, where Doom is supposedly from, the Avengers didn't exist. And that Fantastic Four group, they're from like the 60s of that universe, but futuristic. So it's not like our 60s. There's a whole lot going on there. It's like, it's so much, but there's a lot of playground for them to move these pieces. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is not from the 616 universe. He's from a different universe. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is not from Tobey's universe. And they've already established that being from different universes, you don't always have to look exactly the same. Which will help with the storylines of certain characters through certain, universes. And just like when we had the young Xavier and the young Magneto. How many Doctor Stranges did we see in Multiverse of Madness? 3? 4? 1 died. 1 died that we didn't see. Remember, they said they had built a statue dedicating the statue to him because he helped defeat Thanos in that universe. Oh, and we're being told that there's going to be a return of Thanos in this film too. Like a King Thanos or something. According to the comics, there was a King Thanos. And if you guys remember the story, for those who followed the graphics, there was a showdown between Thanos and Doom. And Doom killed Thanos by reaching into his body and pulling his skeleton out of his body. I could imagine the Russos wanting to recreate that scene. That would be amazing. There's so much to consider with these storytellings, man. It's just unbelievable. I don't know. I'm just going to try to figure it out as these trailers come about. They're giving us a lot to look at, though. A lot. So yeah, I don't know what you guys are going to do as far as when the movie comes. Are you planning to see it in the theater? There's going to be more stuff being released as we go. But they'll begin filming, if they haven't begun already, Secret Wars. And Secret Wars is going to have the new characters in there, the ones who'll be playing Iron Man going forward, Captain America going forward. I think they're going to keep Chris Hemsworth as Thor. He'll just be an overseer like Odin. Yeah. Just something I wanted to talk about a little bit, you know, geeking out again over these films. But it's amazing. Source material should be Marvel's friend, though. Stop trying to get creative and reinvent the wheel by taking female versions of the characters and pressing them forward. We didn't need to see Ironheart. We didn't really need to see She-Hulk because you have Deadpool. She-Hulk breaks the third wall, the fourth wall, whatever it's called, and so does Deadpool. But Deadpool is the best at it. Yeah. So as I said, you know, let's just wait and see what happens. I'll be back with some more videos on this type of fare. There've been a lot of other channels doing videos on this, but it's like, just because something happened, I'm not ready to just jump on that like that. But and I'll end up uploading this to my Temple of Culture and also to my other page on Rumble, since I couldn't get the broadcast to go live and multi-stream, but I'll still upload it there. So it'll be an opportunity to enjoy. So, but I want to thank everybody for coming out. Appreciate you. And we'll catch you guys next time out. Peace to everybody out there. And once again, Happy New Year. Smash the like button on your way out if you didn't on your way in. We out of here.